Today's episode, we're going to be reviewing more on New Japan Pro Wrestling's annual leagues. We're talking about World Tag League and Super Junior Tag League. So we're going to see how far these tag teams ended up. But also, we're going to be reviewing what took place on AEW Rampage. As you know, we got the AEW All-Atlantic Championship on the line. We got various things taking place. But also, we got NXT Level Up. So who's going to level up this time? And also, we're going to do a little fun review. As you know, Impact Wrestling likes to throw in one of these Throwback Throwdown shows where they go back in time, back to the 80s, where there were a lot funner, wackier. For us, people would say, for today, people would say, that looks kind of cheesy. But, so what? But also, we got some interesting news updates, and we're definitely going to be sharing what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, what information we did not know about, what things are yet to come. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with New Japan Pro Wrestling with the annual World Tag League and Super Junior Tag League. Our opening matches from the Super Junior Tag League match, we have the Jet, Kevin Knight, and Kushida taking on Suzuki-gun members Doiki and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Now, these two teams, just to put this on perspective, they're currently at the bottom of the league itself. But it was a pretty good match because in this perspective, we saw a Suzuki-gun pick up 2 points for the first time since throughout the entire tournament. It was Kanemaru with the brainbuster on Kevin Knight that picked up the win. Next match, World Tag League, we have Gabriel Kidd and Alex Coughlin taking on Bebop Tag League, that is Toru Yano and Hiroshi Tanahashi. A fun match, because, and also on put this a note, it's been a while since both Kidd and Tanahashi got in each other's faces during a New Japan Strong not too long ago, but apparently Kidd got another dose of the ace again when he applied the high fly flow onto him and giving them their next 2 points. I think they got 6 points, which is 3 wins. And as for Kidd and Coughlin, they only have 0. So they're also at the bottom. Next, we have the Super Junior Tag League match. House of Torture, consisting of Sho and Dick Togo. They viciously attacked Chaos Project, Leo Rush, and Yo. Things would have gone their way, but once again, now this heated rivalry between Sho and Yo has been taking a toll on them. Now, Sho has been trying to prove that he doesn't need him, that he will beat the one at the top. But I don't know how this is going to affect them because, as you know, Chaos only has right now 8 points, I believe. They could be I don't know if how this would affect them moving forward. But Sho will not stand watching his former tag partner going at the top because he felt he should have been at the top. So they got away with it regardless. The referee didn't see a thing. Next match is the World Tag League again. This time, as you know, House of Torture were there too, Yujiro and Evil. But luckily they were there. They were trying to take on United Empire's Khan and Hinare. So basically, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a feud between the House of Torture and United Empire because they probably see them like they're a bunch of wackos who, don't deserve anything. But once again, Sho showed up, tries to interrupt the match again, but this time it did not work. He got low blowed by Gideon Gray. Gideon Gray even tried to do the same thing, but nope. Khan actually low blowed Dick and Show for their problem. So there have been a lot of low blows, but the fact remain is United Empire won the match. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a feud between the House of Torture and United Empire. That is something we could see because, you know, Gideon Gray has been opening his mouth, try to say that the United Empire is the best unit that there is, but House of Torture, they're the most hated unit ever. They will not tolerate guys like them. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a feud between these two groups. Next match, we back to the Super Junior Tag League. We have Bullet Club, Chris Bay and Ace Austin taking on the Flying Tigers, Tiger Mask and Robbie Eagles. Pretty good match, a lot of good spots, but it was the fold by Ace Austin on Tiger Mask that allowed them to win the match. So right now they're currently at the top with 10 points. So we could see them most likely continue on. Next match, back to World Tag League, we have TMDK, Shane Hayes, and Mikey Nichols taking on Suzuki Goons, Lance Archer, and Minoru Suzuki. Now, if you guys ever face Minoru Suzuki, you know for a fact when someone faces them, it's not an easy task. But Suzuki is the kind of person you know he'll never forget his loss, regardless. So, I thought it was a pretty interesting match, but it was it was Shane Hayes who pinned Minoru Suzuki. This was a huge upset for them. But if I was Shane Hayes, I would be more careful because Suzuki will never forget it until he gets what he wants. One-on-one with him. That's what I think. But I think right now TMDK are at 10 points at this point. But yeah. Next match we have once again. The next two matches are from the Super Junior Tag League. First one is Sauce Heart. Yes, folks, you heard me right. Sauce Heart is Alex Zane and El Lindaman. And I thought it was a pretty kind of weird name, but it would make sense because, you know, you got the Strong Heart, El Lindaman, and you got the Sauce, Alex Zane. But they have become a very stable tag team. But I think it would make sense. If you guys ask me, do I think Alex Zane should join Strong Hearts? I would say it would be interesting to see. But their opponents is none other than LIJ's Titan and Bushi. Now, I'm a big fan. I was biased on both teams because they're amazing. So I just let this one play out. Now, I know some of you would say Titan and Bushi should be the team that go into top, but no, it was the Taco Driver that finished off Bushi, giving them their next wins. I thought it was a pretty good match. I'm a big fan of these two teams. They're awesome. Now, our next match in the Super Junior Tag League, we have Wild Hips, consistent of Clark Connors and Taguchi, taking on Catch 2-2, which is United Empire's Francesco Cara and TJP. Good match. It also showed how strong Catch 2 are strong. They applied once again 2x2 on Connors. They picked up the match. Now, our main event is the World Tag League match. We have Aussie Open taking on LIJ Sonata and Tetsuya Naito. I thought this match was great. It was shown a lot of heart, but the real question is, when it comes to these type of leagues, we always see that one team, they're undefeated, they're unbeatable, but in this case, Aussie Open has proven they can be beaten. So somehow it was Naito with the Destino onto Kyle Fletcher, giving Aussie Open their first official loss in the league. Now, what does this mean for them in the league? Well, they could possibly make it in it, but this loss will be in their minds, knowing they have just one loss. But do we have a chance to see Naito and Sonata go on? We don't know. That is still the undetermined. We know Naito will do anything and determined to get a spot at Wrestle Kingdom, but that's yet to be determined. I have to say the league is pretty good, but we'll see what happens on the next one if that's the case. So I forgot what the points were on these last three matches, but we'll just go from there. So right now let's just end it from here. Move on with AEW Rampage. AEW Rampage. Opened up with Darby Allin along with Sting. This is a revenge match for Darby Allin to get his hands on Cole Carter. Now, if you guys remember, a while back, we saw Darby Allin go back for a second match against Jay Lethal. We saw the fake Sting showed up, and it was none other than Cole Carter, who was paid to attack Darby Allin. So this time, Cole Carter had no one, had Nick Kamara right there, but he got his butt whooped by Darby Allin with the baseball bat. But the match was great. It did show Darby Allin still has resilience, but he did get his revenge against Cole Carter when he applied the coffin drop. So that's the end of it. Darby gets his revenge. But that doesn't end right there. Later on, it did show. As you know, Darby Allin has one thing in mind right now, is to reclaim the TNT title, which he lost to, who was it he lost it to? To Miro, but now it's in Samoa Joe's hands. So he looks like he's asking for a death wish. So he knows he wants to face against one of the most toughest but most dangerous wrestlers in the business, and that is Samoa Joe. So that one will take place, I believe, this Wednesday. So let's check it out. Now, our next interview, as you know, we've been still getting what's been going on. We've been seeing that there's been a lot of tensions between Keith Lee and Sir Strickland since Full Gear, but the obvious is that they buried a hatchet or what's going on. But we did see a surprise appearance from Shane Taylor. If you guys remember him, Shane Taylor was in ROH. He was ROH television title champion, and he was six-man tag team champion before. It looks more like he had some unfinished business with Keith Lee, and he's bringing someone with him to Final Battle. So there's going to be a match set for them next week. I'm looking forward to that. But the obvious thing is, will Strickland be by Keith Lee's side? We don't know, because he's been grinning the entire time. We just got to wait and see what happens. Now we saw what happened last week on Rampage. We saw the betrayal by 10 onto Dark Order, but mostly we know that Reynolds and Silver, their wounds would heal, but they know one person is completely hurt, and that is -1. The obvious question does remain, where does Dark Order goes from here now that 10 betrayed them? We just don't know. So we'll just got to wait and see what happens. Now, as you know, the Acclaim are looking for a tag team to challenge them for their AEW World Tag Team titles. Now, they said they're looking for the best. Now, here comes the Ass Boys, the Gun Club, claiming they are the best. I'm like, that's a long stretch, because they haven't even had championship gold. No one was talking about them, but later here comes, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and that loudmouth Sanjay Dutt, saying that they got world class. But Billy Gunn, as a tag team expert, he knows what everybody's talking about. They said they want the best, and then here comes FTR, and they're not lying. They are triple crown holders of 3 different tag titles: the ROH tag team titles, AAA tag team titles, the IWGP heavyweight tag team titles. They are the best right now. I think Jarrett, Lethal, and the Ass Boys did not get their hearing check. But I think it was great that they're saying, you guys are not the best, these guys are. Now, it's been a while since we've been trying to hear. We know that FTR has been looking for a way to get reclaim the AEW World Tag Team title, so we're going to see what's going to happen. So I think that may take place this Wednesday. Don't quote me on that just yet. Now, we do get a little interesting what's going on. As you know, the Bunny, she showed up recently on an AEW Dark match, overlooking the match on Hikaru Shida and Queen Amina. We don't know what's the tension, but it appears that Bunny wants revenge. As you know, Bunny has been at the bottom, and she has nowhere been gone to the top because of her injury. She wants Shida, but Shida said that she's willing to put the Regina the Wave title on the line for her. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. So we're just going to pay attention. Now, our next match, we have Private Party, along with Matt Hardy taking on Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Now, I don't know what's the significance of the match, but I did notice that it would have gone either way. But I did saw Mark Quinn seem he got hurt when he did a 450, but he actually tried to, how do I say, knows that the opponent move out of the way, but he might have injured himself. But it did lead for Lethal to do the lethal injection onto Quinn, giving them the win. Now, we do get a little piece of interview after by Soraya. As you know, she has won her first successful win in AEW after 5 years. You know, she said she was very emotional, not to mention having her brother, Zach, being there. But it looks more like she's not just here just for that one match. She wants to go back the being at the top as she was. But she did say the only way she's going to do that is by facing everyone in the locker room. So that's like the notice that we're going to see. So she wants to get back on top no matter what. Now, our next match is women's action. We got, of course, Athena versus Danny Moe. Now, we know Athena has been having a bad reputation recently, attacking her wrestlers right after the match. But, however, Athena actually crossed the line by disqualifying herself in this match, but she continues to beat down Danny Moe and then, of course, almost hurt Robbie Edwards in the process. So we don't know where that's going to lead. Now, it looks more like it's officially it's happening. Juice Robinson is possibly now signed with AEW or something. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that until I find more information on it. It looks like he has something in mind. He wants the ROH World Television title from Samoa Joe. He feels like he needs to hold on to that title. We know how Juice Robinson is, since now he's a member of the Bullet Club, that he will stop at nothing to get what rightfully belongs to him. Now, our main event is the AEW All-Atlantic Championship in a lumberjack match. We have QT Marshall and Darby Allin. Now, we did see the best friends with axes, but the referees took that from them. I thought that was hilarious, with the axes. I thought that completely killed me for the night. But it was a good match. I have enjoyed it. Everything was really fun. But the one thing that was really striking is Kip Sabian showing up. Looks like he has some sort of beef with Orange Cassidy. But I think I can guess that, but I'll get to that in a bit. This match completely almost could have gone to QT's Marshall way, but it took a beach break by Orange Cassidy to put away QT Marshall. So it ended with, of course, Orange Cassidy retaining the title, but he took a beeline straight to Kip Sabian. Now, I do remember there is a feud between them, if you guys recall. If you remember the wedding that Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford had, what was it, last year or 2 years ago? Either or. It was, of course, Orange Cassidy that kind of ruined it, all of it. So I would say that this is more of a revenge for last. Since Kip Sabian has reemerged a new person, it looks more like he has some unfinished business with Orange Cassidy. I think that's what I believe is happening. So if you guys remember that, good for you. If you guys don't, look it up. But this also led to that one match with Kip and Miro being in a tag match with Orange Cassidy and Chuck until Trent Beretta reemerged, and that kind of thing. And I think that sort of goes back to that particular timing. So we'll see what happens then. But that doesn't end there. Once again, the house lights turned off. House of Black reemerged, and they were beating the crap out of everybody, who was still there. But I have to say, I think from what the commentator said, they're right. They're not targeting one specific individual. It's sending a message to the entire AEW locker room. And I think that's what the message is. That they're here to send a direct message that the House of Black has now risen and they're taking no prisoners one way or the other. And I think that tells us a lot. So I have to say Rampage was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. Hope everybody did. But let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our first match, we have Oro Mensa taking on Miles Bourne. Now, I was completely biased on this one for two reasons. One, they're both awesome wrestlers. They have great talent. But the obvious thing, how this is gonna go, I don't know, because we know Oro Mensa. We know he has stepped into his own ever since back when he was in NXT UK, and I think it's a good thing. But he's facing a guy who we all know his background. He's deaf and all this, but we know he has the talent. We know he has what it takes to make it. So we just got to see how this goes out, and I think it played out pretty well until Oro Mensa applied the spinning heel kick on the corner side of the turnbuckle, giving him his win. But he did show respect to Miles Bourne. Now, you can say that when we wrestle guys like Miles Bourne, we know that they can't hear. But as a wrestler, we know we were trained. We're not only responsible for ourselves in the ring, we're also responsible for the well-being and safety of the opponent. And I think that sets the whole thing. And I think Oro Mensa was impressed by him, despite of what he is, of his in part of his handicap. But it was a good match. Now we do get an interview with this new guy named Tavion Heights. Now, not much about him. I think he was an athlete playing football. I'm not sure, but his opponent is none other than Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Now, you know this is going to be a difficult match because Stacks, he's not there to play. He's a real tough SOB since he lined himself with Tony D'Angelo. And I think that sets it all. But Tavon really took it to the limit to him, but it wasn't enough to take him down. And I think that's what Tavon Heights will have to learn, think back, knowing that he might have done his best, but he's facing a guy who's a bit more tougher than him. So he did Stacks did some sort of like a bit of a kind of like the stomp, but only using the calf of his leg, bottom leg, and boom, plant him down, face down. And I think that's a pretty good move. So Stacks picked up the win. Now our next and final match, our main event, we have Thea Hale along with Chase U taking on Soruka. Pretty good match. I think the way this match is, you got Soruka, who's very athletic, very tall, taking on a very wild-hearted child like Thea Hale, and I think that sets it all. But we know how Thea Hale is. Like, gets too hyped. That's one of her weak spots. But in this case, she has to pay attention because she's not facing a slouch. We know that Soruka has the talent, but we know that she can execute, but she's nowhere near experienced enough to try it. But Thea Hale was able to put her down by picking up a really good pinfall. So it was a pretty good match. I liked it. Thea Hale is hope we know she can make it, but she needs to work more on her in-ring experience. So that's what I think we should see about her. So I think that's pretty much it with NXT Level Up. Let's move on to our final review, Impact Rust Throwback Throwdown 3. Okay, now, some of you ask yourself, what the hell is Impact Wrestling Throwback Throwdown? Now, if you guys have been watching Impact Wrestling, you guys know who it is. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, never seen this, I'll explain to you. This is a type of a throwback show where it takes you back to the 80s. Kind of like, we may think of it, it's cheesy at the time. But the way they're telling the story on this one is really fun. Many wrestlers from today's Impact roster, they play these characters, which is kind of fun to watch. First time I saw this, I thought it was really interesting. There were a lot of great characters that I enjoyed on that one. So let's get to it now. Don Callis plays this character named Giuseppe Sr., who is the owner and founder of Impact Provisional Wrestling Federation, or as we call it, IPWF. And his son, played by Josh Matthews, plays Giuseppe Jr. he's a commentator, but sometimes he plays like this obnoxious, spoiled kid who is about to inherit something. Story tells in this one where, of course, Junior accidentally sold his shares to the rival company of Glue, Great Lakes Rest something. I forgot what they call it. But with their a rival promoter, a promotion called the promoter name what's his name? What's his name? I forgot. Charlie. No, I don't know what's his name, but it was kind of interesting. So they sort of began a feud with them. Now let's start with our first match. We have Monty Moonlight, played by Zicky Dice, taking on Rapid Delivery Pete, played by Rick Swan. So I thought this match was fun. It was very interesting. But of course, Monty tries to take a sip of of a cocktail, but it doesn't work. He even tried to ruin someone's pizza because, as you know, Pete is a delivery from a pizza place, and he actually got him good with the Casadora and giving him the first win. I thought it was pretty fun. Then our next we have is, of course, the interviewer named Dexter Pentecote, interviewing Bill Ding, played by Trey Miguel, saying that he's in a war with another construction worker named Jack Hammer. Now, Bill Ding, he is a is building means in a term building. Get it? Building. Building. So he goes in a feud with this guy named Jackhammer. Now that was the next match. I don't know who plays Jackhammer, but the guy looks more like Andrew Everett. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't got the full details, but this one is a clock out match. Basically, you get the time stamp of the opponent and you clock them out. And I think that's a pretty interesting matchup. But it was, of course, Bill Ding who picked up the win on that one. So it was pretty interesting to see what goes around. Now we do see an interview with the rival promotion Glue. I thought it was kind of interesting how it was going to play out, introducing who's who, and they're claiming if they win this little Survivors game, they actually will take control of the IPWF. Now, our next match, we have Georgia Cobb, portrayed by Jordan Grace, taking on Wanda the Werewolf, played by Savannah Evans. I thought it was a good match. Really fun, but it was the Big Bow by Georgia Cobb that picked up the win. Next up, we have Lady Bird Johnston, played by Jessica, saying that she has a big time interview with this person named Tori Nailbiter, portrayed by Rosemary, saying that she's there to become a wrestler. This is more like the segment of what they're throwing with Cyndi Lauper, but instead of Cyndi Lauper being a singer, she's being a wrestler. So they have this other person named Sebastian what's his name? Baker with Rusty Iron. Seems like Sebastian has an interest in having Tori Nailbiter to be her manager. But however, she did state it that she has a manager of her own. It's still unclear who. So we're just anticipating on that one. Now we do get another interview with Dexter Pentecote. He meets Brian Bone Crusher, who is played by Brian Myers, telling him that the Stomp in Paradise with his tag partner G.I. Broski, played by Matt Cardona, is injured, so he was going to go on alone to take on the Sunday Morning Express. So that particular match took place now, so it became a handicap match since G.I. Broski is out. It's no secret that it could have been Sunday Morning played. Now, Sunday Morning Express is played by two different people. Now, there's the Paperboy. I don't know who plays him, but I do know the editor-in-chief is being played by Chris Sabian. Now, when things seemed like it was getting lost by Bone Crusher, his there was another member who joined, and that is Dynamic Dude Shane Douglas. We all know who that is. Shane Douglas played another character. He shows up, helps Bone Crusher to pick up the win. So I thought it was really fun to see that. Now we do get this interesting match by this guy named Mansoor Baguette, played by Mike Bailey. He takes on Orny Otis, played by Diener. This is a character Diener had played before. I have to say, this was a real interesting match, but it was the Baguette who used a baguette onto Otis to pick up the win. I thought it was really interesting. So, yeah, the Baguette used a baguette. So, kind of weird of me saying that. We do get an interview with Tommy Dreamer. It seems that he have a problem with this guy named Pelvis Wesley and his companion, Colonel Korn. I thought it was a interesting thing. Now, Tommy Dreamer plays like this young Tommy Dreamer. I thought it was very interesting to show up, but Pelvis Wesley's played by Heath, and Colonel Korn played by, what's his name? Johnny E. Bravo. However, this match ended with Tommy Dreamer applying the DDT onto Pelvis. If he wins, he gets 5 minutes with Colonel Korn. But however, that did not go well. Colonel Korn poked the eyes of Dreamer, and of course, he did not see that Dreamer put his foot on the ropes, and he lost the match. So I thought it was like, okay, it's kind of interesting on the story, but where do we go from there from after this? We don't know. Now, they introduced these girls named Auto Bodies. There's Smokey Muffler, played by Mickie James, and then there's Busty Transmission, played by ODB. They are taking on another team called Volcanic Activity. That's their opponents. So we jump into the match, and they introduce Volcanic Activities, played by Giselle Shaw. She portrays Lucy Luau, and then there's Tina Tiki, played by Tasha Steele. So this is a different type of dynamic seeing these two women. I thought it was a real fun one. Everybody were having a good match, but we knew that this one was going to go into a direction where, of course, the Auto Bodies, they work in a body shop car. Smokey Muffler used a wrench or whatever it's typed to pick up the win, but the referee did not see that one way or the other. Now, they had this thing where this new title called the Exciting Division Championship. Now, this was kind of corny because Exciting Division Championship. It's kind of like similar to the X Division. So they had Johnny Swinger. We all know who Johnny Swinger is. What's his name? Fleet Feet Keaton Fox. I don't know who plays him, or the other guy, Billy Buff Nux. I thought it was pretty interesting, but I wasn't sold on this one that much. But I can tell you that it was Johnny Swinger with the pinfall that won the match, becoming the new Exciting Division Championship. I thought it was like interesting that this is coming like almost similar saying the X Division Championship. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I don't know how these stories are being built up. Now, our next match, we have Rusty Iron with Sebastian Baker taking on Tori Nailbiter, and her new manager is none other than Rock and Roll Ricky Morton. I thought it was a real fun one, but it took at least a cross-body diving for Tori Nailbiter to pick up the win against Rusty Irons. That's an old school move that many people would say that could be like a finisher from back then. But yeah, that's what we saw. Now we get to a interesting match. We have Sonny Sanders, played by Sami Callihan. He teams up with Nature Boy Buck Humphrey along with Baby Doll. Take on DJ Too Large, played by Moose. There was some good moments I did like is when Sonny Sanders messed up. And then there's one where the Nature Boy actually messed up too. But Too Large took advantage of it by picking up a good win, by doing a big lariat onto the Nature Boy, winning, and then he walked away with Baby Doll. Fun story. Now our next final match is Team Glue versus Team IPWF, consistent with Frank the Butcher, played by Rhino, Tim Burr, as in Timber, played by Josh Alexander, Cowboy Colt McCoy, played by Eddie Edwards, and of course Giuseppe Jr. However, that match was kind of like an elimination match. I lost track who got eliminated. Giuseppe Jr. got hurt, but his dad, Giuseppe Sr., stepped in to pick up the match. I thought it was real fun. So it was, of course, Giuseppe Sr. that picked up the win and made sure the IPWF stays where it is right now. And I thought it was real fun. Now, some of these events, these throwback shows are real fun, a little bit wacky, but you get to enjoy it. Now, if you guys are not familiarized with it, check it out. Now, if you guys don't have the Impact Plus, go to watchprowrestling.org. They can show that to you. So trust me, you'll enjoy watching it. So I think that's pretty much it right now with that. So let's move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now, here's what we have so far that we've been keeping up with. As you know, I've been talking about the Jersey J Cup that's being presented by GCW and JCW. 4 new entrants have now been announced for this tournament. We have Jordan Oliver, Cold Roderick, Blake Christian, and Tony Deppen. So that is a total of 12 wrestlers. So we don't know for sure if there'll be more, but if there is, I will be announcing them. Now, our next update, we have DEFY Wrestling saying there's going to be a new show called More Dangerous. That will be at the Alma in Tacoma on the 20th of January. Now, there's no announcements which wrestlers will be booked, but they did state it that this is going to have big debuts and huge matchups. Can't wait to hear the announcements. Some of you right now, our next update, I've been asking where has been Robert Roode. Now it's been told by Bobby Roode on himself that he underwent a fusion surgery on his C5-6 vertebrae, which is located on the neck. So the surgery has been done. It was done in Alabama, and now he's entering the process of rehabilitation. So, get well, have a good speedy recovery, and we'll be waiting for you when you come back, Robert. Now, Warrior Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event on the 27th of January, ironically called Warrior Wrestling 27, is going to feature in South Bend, Indiana. Huge debuts have been announced for this particular event. First one has been Hijo del Vikingo. Since his announcement that he's going to be wrestling here in the States has been making news, you know that some of the top independent promotions would love to have him. But he wasn't the only one announced. As you know, he announced that he's going to be here living in America since he's now signed with AEW. Konosuke Takeshita has been announced. I'm like, holy smokes. This is going to be huge. I can't wait to see it. If you're not a Konosuke Takeshita fan, go on YouTube, check him out. Now, as you know, I mentioned time and time again, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla has announced their 9th entrance for the Battle of Los Angeles tournament. They announced Jordynne Grace will be in it. So it's strange that we have Jordynne Grace in it because she's a woman. It's because her husband's in it too. I'm talking about the Octopus, Josh Alexander. That's going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they bump into each other. Now, our next update, as you may remember or not, a local promoter here in my town of San Diego, California, recently was arrested on charges of domestic or whatever. SoCal and Center announced, well, the guy's name is Dirty Ron McDonald, but he goes by Mikey Gordon, It was announced that he pled guilty for two charges, one felony, one misdemeanor. All the other charges have been dropped. His next court hearing will be in a couple of days, but he's currently still in jail. Now, I don't know what does this mean for his company, Fist Combat, which is the local promotion here, is going to be, we don't know yet. So we'll just play it out. Next update. Deadlock Pro Wrestling has announced for matches that will lead into the first anniversary. 2 matches have been announced, which is one a tag team, Donnie Ray and Mason Miles versus Manny Lowe and Alexander Moon will be facing off. But this next one is a very interesting one. We got Balinaki, the Super Asian Champion, putting his title on the line against Ratty Daddy Cole Roderick. So that's going to be interesting. Now, our final update here. This one was a very interesting one to find out. Now, we all witnessed who is the first ever IWGP Women's Champion, Kairi. But there's more to what we're being told from the actual story. Apparently, there were plans to have Mayu Iwatani as the IWGP Women's Champion. But apparently news has broke down saying that she wanted to negotiate a deal with them. But it appears that the deal didn't go through, or they could have agreement with it. So that was the reason what happened. So we don't know what's the extent of the deal of her as the IWGP Women's Champion. But whatever deal she wanted, they couldn't agree upon. That's why Kairi is our current and first and new IWGP Women's Champion. But we do know Mayu Iwatani does have her sights set on that belt. We just don't know when will that happen. Whatever negotiation she was trying to achieve did not come through. So I think that's pretty much it. If you guys are Mayu Iwatani fans, now you know. I mean, it makes sense because many of us would have assumed it would be Mayu to win, but no. So that's what we know so far. So whatever information we find, we'll try to find out personally. This one was revealed by Wrestling Purist. They said they got this information somehow, and it would make sense. So we'll just see what happens then. I think that's pretty much it right now, so let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we got Choco Pro 270. I forgot what number, I lost count. But it's going to be really interesting to watch. Then, of course, we got more on New Japan Pro Wrestling with the Super Junior Tag League and World Tag League. So we'll find out what's been happening, who most likely will go to the top. But also, we got NWA USA and possibly more on New Japan Strong. If there's anything else, I will be putting that as well. So for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.